any Baldur's Gate 3 run starts by doing two things: selecting a class and selecting a race. These are what define who your character is, what choices they get presented with, and more or less dictates to at least some degree how you will play the game. But I've always wondered what would happen if we didn't have any of this. What if we couldn't just scream loud enough to negate almost all damage, or call upon literal gods to obliterate our enemies? What if we were just some dude from somewhere? Can you beat Baldur's Gate 3 without a class or race? Let's find out. I don't know if I made this correctly, but I think I have made an empty race. That does look right. I guess we'll see when we get in. And then on the classes page, if we go down here, can also select no class. We are literally no one. And yeah, we don't get many choices on the screen here. Now, of course, even without a class, although we don't get any fancy abilities or passives, we do still get to select our ability points here. Our guy is not completely brain dead after all. I think I'm just gonna put 14 into Dex, Constitution, and Intelligence. Let's call him Guy. And just like that, we are in. And immediately I noticed that this run would be tough. I didn't have any noteworthy, notable features, no cool abilities to speak of, the worst possible movement speed you can get, and a really quite terrible 8 HP. Don't mind it saying human there, I just didn't know how to change that part. But much worse than any of that, I didn't have a single proficiency. No matter what we try to equip, we mostly won't be able to use it. Proficiency for weapons does a few things, like giving you free hit bonuses, but most importantly, for all weapons, it is what lets you use their special abilities. Without this, I would just have access to the basic attacks on any weapon I decided to equip. But even worse than this is armor. Anything that is even light is basically completely unusable now, as it permanently prevents us from casting any spells and gives us disadvantage on all attacks. It was clear that I would be very limited, but at the moment I didn't really have to worry. It wasn't like I actually had anything to equip anyways. Instead, it was time to focus on just getting off the nautiloid. Please don't fail. Hi, Lae'zel. Look at this show off with all her equipment and skills, just because I don't have anything. With the help of us, I was quickly able to clear out the first imp encounter. Take this! One punch! Bam! And using the fact that you can dip your weapon in a candle for that little extra fire damage, clear my way down to the beach. Nice, so we got our first level up. Level 2. You guys ready for this? It's time to see what great upgrades we get when we click the level up button. It's gonna be huge. I mean, that's pretty generous, honestly. We get our Constitution modifier as extra health. Oh, I could get so much. Look at all these things. All the cantrips, all the spells, all the class features. I can't use any of them. Well, we have 10 health now instead of 8. That's pretty good. Man, Will, you're just flexing. Just because I can't have cool abilities like you. Oh, 50 to hit a random goblin tracker. That's not great. No, not me, man. One more of those and I'm just dead. To not lose already, I had to let Sevlor beat this first encounter for me and continued into the grove, heading straight over to the vendors. I want to test something here. What if I purchase this short bow? Can you even use Hunter's Mark? I'm not sure. Looks like you can. That is very interesting. Okay. So even though I can't use the weapon's weapon actions, if it has a spell on it, I can use it. This was a huge discovery, as if an equipment had access to a spell, I would actually be able to use it despite not being proficient with it. And right away, this gave me an idea for a build I could do, but it would require a lot of equipment, so for now I just continued on doing the normal things in saving a child, collecting the Ring of Protection, and continuing over to these people to collect my very first tadpole. We may just be some guy in this playthrough with no innate special superpowers, but we did get taken to that nautiloid, and so we do in fact have a tadpole, giving us access to the full array of tadpole powers. Now the Mask of the Shapeshifter is actually interesting here, because even though I am raceless, if I equip it, I can still shapeshift over to another race
and then pretend that I'm just one of them.
Inside the Goblin camp, we find the one and only equipment in the game, which can temporarily grant us any form of proficiency. These actually let me use any long or short bow and gives an extra 2 damage to them while doing so. I was also able to, after willingly letting God capture me and getting rescued by Corilla, collect the Amulet of Misty Step, or a free Misty Step each short rest.
I have an idea of a weapon which I might be able to use, but it's down in the Underdark, so let's go there now, I guess.
This weapon comes in 3 pieces, and the first one is located right outside the Selûnite outpost. But of course, getting it would not be simple, as it was guarded by a spectator, an enemy way out of my league.
If I shoot one of the petrified drow from up here, the spectator should not aggro, I think. Yep, that does still work. Wait, is he stuck? Isn't he meant to like patrol around? He sure looks completely stuck. I guess that means I can shoot all the drow without him noticing at least. That's nice. Let's try this. Dash and then shoot him. You should get surprised. Yep. And then I can just walk over here and yoink the ice thingy. And then just leave.
The second piece is located right inside the Myconid colony, in a location normally meant to be accessed after doing a quest, but a simple Misty Step works just as well. To access the final piece, we have to kill this guy here. The problem is that he is completely surrounded by hook horrors, so it was time to head over and grab Glut. Using a single invisibility potion, I could walk over to him undetected, and with the massive damage Glut has, take him out before anyone got the chance to move, letting me simply grab the final piece, and since the horrors are completely focused on taking down the bullet, escape. With all the pieces now assembled, they can be combined into Mourning Frost, and this is a staff which will allow me to start doing anything this run. Normally, the spells found on items are just usable once, having to either short or long rest in between each use. But here is where this staff is special, as instead of coming with a normal spell, it comes with its very own Ray of Frost. Ray of Frost though is not very impressive by itself. I would still need to run around and collect a bunch more items before it was usable, starting by grabbing some mushrooms and bringing them over to Mind Flayer guy. For doing this, he lets us purchase the Boots of Stormy Clamor, and also in the process gives us access to Survival Instinct. The other items I wanted are all in the Mountain Pass or Act 2, and thankfully easily accessible with a simple Gith impersonation.
Another level up to nothing. These level ups are so sad, man. 2 health is all I get.
I couldn't leave quite yet though, as for the first time in a while, I kinda needed the Grove and the tieflings to not die. So it was time to take on the Goblin camp and try to somehow free Halsin with the very useful skills I had. As soon as the encounter started, it was extremely important that I got to move before one of the children here. This is because they are always able to flee in just 2 turns, and since I, with my singular arrow, only could take out one, the other would always get away, basically meaning an instant loss. Eventually I got it, but still, this fight should not have been easy, or at least that's what I thought, till Halsin decided to do this.
What happened? Guess they're all just dead now. Thanks, Halsin.
With Halsin now by my side, I easily cheesed Minthara by luring her onto the bridge, having her tumble into the abyss.
Time for the hard one. Ragzlin is always tough.
This fight would be way harder. However, I had one thing going for me. The fact that Halsin has infinite uses of Call Lightning.
Holy, that's half his HP.
Using the only haste potion I had managed to collect thus far, with 2 Call Lightnings each turn, Halsin was just barely, with 2 HP remaining, able to finish this fight. With, importantly, the tieflings now safe, after a quick camp party, I could now unlock some very useful Tadpole abilities, before finally continuing on towards the mountain pass. Right inside is Lady Esther, who has the next piece of equipment I wanted, the Winter's Clutches. Inside the creche is also another piece of equipment, which I luckily could grab without having to fight anyone, by simply agreeing to hand over the artifact and then just sneaking around the awaiting Gith in the Inquisitor's chamber. Here we find the necklace class of Elemental Augmentation, adding our spellcasting modifier to the damage of our cantrips. With the Crash looted, it was now time to continue into Act 2, which I easily did by using the one and only arrow of transposition I had gotten access to. Heading straight over to Last Light, we can now speak to Damon as he has the Darkfighter shortbow. This is the only item prior to Act 3 that has haste on it, and just like my staff, is usable even without any proficiencies.
And then we're gonna run in here, and hopefully we're gonna succeed this check here. Please. Oh, thank God.
Inside the floor planks here is the Snowburst ring, creating a pretty massive circle of ice next to anyone we hurt with cold damage. I still did not feel strong enough yet to take on Karnus, so I still had to get to Moonrise even without a moon lantern.
Think I should be able to make it over in like a turn or two if I just haste myself and then dash 3 times. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's plenty of movement. Won't make it in 1 turn, but definitely in 2.
Inside Moonrise are the 2 last items that I need, the first one being the Risky Ring, and inside Balthazar's room is the last item I needed, the Cold Brim Hat. With everything gathered to show off how this really would work, it was time to head back and face down with Karnus.
Okay, I'm gonna need to position a bit better than that, I guess.
Whenever we cast Ray of Frost now, a whole bunch of stuff triggers. I won't bother explaining exactly what they do. You can read the items if you feel like it, but just know that they all come together to slow, prone, and stun whoever we decide to target basically permanently.
Prone them both. That's the plan. To just prone everyone forever. Look at that movement. And this turn he's frozen. Look at this bar. He's proned 2 times, he's frozen, he has reverberation on him, and he's slowed. Sorry, Mrs. Spider.
Even with my extreme slows and stuns though, I had still gotten clipped by a single ranged attack, and it almost killed me, so it was time to go get some more tadpoles and pick up Shield of Thralls for an extra 10 temporary hit points.
I guess it's time to go attempt to free the tieflings. Don't know if this is gonna go well, we'll see. So I might need to clear out all the guards here without fighting them, preferably. I wonder if I can just shove them off of this bridge here. Oh, that worked. How am I gonna deal with this one up here, though? Yeah, they just sprint here as soon as I try.
Seeing that the guards came sprinting over as soon as I went upstairs here, I got a very dumb idea. By heading up to the 2nd floor, the closest guard will be prompted to head over and arrest us. However, if you're not on the 2nd floor when they arrive, they will just stare at you instead. So by timing this perfectly, I could lure the guards over and then, upon them trying to leave, simply push them into the abyss.
It's the ultimate plan. So we go up here, cast haste, and then shoot the eye. Not the best positioning by you, I'm gonna be honest. Follow the ice. Follow the ice. Nice. And she's double proned, so she's gonna skip her next turn too. Easy peasy. It's a pretty fun build, huh?
With the guards dead, I could now free the tieflings and head back into Last Light, for the very reason I had saved them all in the first place, the Potent Robe. It gives our cantrips extra damage equal to our charisma modifier.
Kinda need to fix the fact that my intelligence is an odd number now. Let's go over to Ethel. Oh yeah, that's better. That's the kind of numbers I've been looking for.
After taking out the red caps and provoking Ethel, it was time to at least attempt to fight her. I was able to take out a few of her clones using a void bulb. Still, with my abysmal AC and HP, I was getting destroyed by the remaining clones. But thanks to me plundering some merchants prior, I had gotten my hands on a single Missy Step Scroll and could use it to get to relative safety at least.
I probably can't prone her every turn. That would be a bit too lucky. Yeah, thought so. She's already wasted her legendary action though, so 1 magic missile scroll should let me take out the remaining ones.
Ethel wastes a turn turning into Myrina, letting me bring her pretty low, and then after going invisible, thanks to the ping trick, I am able to find her and bring her down low enough to end this fight.
Joke's on you, you're already too low.
now putting me up to 16 intelligence. More importantly than that though, in the room over, I grab Bitter Divorce and after resurrecting Connor, decide to keep the wand for myself, now letting me summon an undead zombie any number of times for a single action point, something which will be incredibly important later. With this upgrade, I decide to head down into the Guildmason basement. The fight with the shadows here was actually quite tough, since all of them had pretty good mobility and with every attack reduced my maximum HP, guaranteeing my death in just 2 attacks. Eventually, I figured out that I could stall them by dropping down an extra moon lantern I had picked up, and after 3 attempts, managed to, with very little room to spare, barely take them out. Here inside a hidden room, we importantly find one of the only knock scrolls that exists in the entire game. Knock lets us open any door, and this will be very useful over in the Gauntlet of Shar. And here is the first encounter which showed me just how pathetic my damage really was, even with these items. I had to use 2 actions to destroy even a single void tremor, and with Balthazar's soldiers almost dying instantly, I had little choice but to kite backwards for 17 turns straight. I now had 2 options. Either I opened the door down to the Night Song with the scroll. This is what I wanted to do, but of course that would mean having to fight Balthazar, which didn't really seem possible. So instead I just used it to open his door, letting him battle it out with Shar's army while I just watched.
Oh shit! No, Balthazar. Okay, so good news, Balthazar's dead. Bad news, I have to do the trials. Let's go me. Wait, lethargic? I don't think I could have screwed that up more if I tried. Ow. I'm gonna die to this man. He's just punching me, he has nothing. My god, man. Okay, we're good, but that was way too close. Okay, time for this one. This one is so dumb. Why? Why? Stop! Give me the gem, stupid trial. This one is easy at least. You guys ready for some balanced stealth? I am the stealth master. How did I not get spotted? How did that work?
Finally, with all the trials done, I now had access to the Night Song's prison. However, before heading in, I wanted to test something.
Can you like kill Isabel here before she goes? I have no idea if this is gonna work. So with a Hell Giant Strength, I should be able to pick her up. And then I wonder what happens if I teleport away with her. Wait, did that work? I've never tried that before. What happens if I go back to last light now? It worked. That's kind of funny. There we go. Perfect. Hopefully I can kill her before she goes.
Isabel has 3 items on her, and notably, one of these is pretty damn good for us, as her armor just so happens to come with a free use of mage armor, the only piece of equipment to have this, but sadly I noticed that you can't just unequip it and keep the buff. So without this, feeling as ready as I was going to get, it was time to free Night Song and head over to Ketheric. I skipped past the lower parts of Moonrise, and using a potion of vigilance, I headed up to face Ketheric.
Do I start? I start. Nice. She's last though. I'm sure it's fine. Let's throw a haste potion at her. Summon in a corner. And then let's run over here.
With the haste potion, even with Aelin insisting on pushing this necromite off the roof, she had just enough movement to do so and still walk over to Ketheric, landing 2 okay smites on him, allowing me, by abusing invisibility pots to not instantly die, trigger his retreat. Before following him into the colony, I also made sure to walk over to this building and interact with the statues, importantly granting me an extra 5 in intelligence and charisma for an extra 4 damage to all attacks.
Okay, time for this stupid fight. The bane of every single challenge run I do.
Using Connor, I was successfully able to waste the first couple of turns from Ketheric and the Mind Flayer, and could thus, after hasting myself and freeing Aelin, take out all the intellect devourers and most ghost necromites with 2 fireball scrolls I had stolen. From up on this ledge, Ketheric could never target me, but I still had problems. Being hasted meant that I could kill 1 necromite each turn. However, Ketheric would at the same time also summon in 1. Of course, I did not actually have to kill the necromites, but could instead just go for Ketheric. The real problem shows up when we arrive at Myrkul. I really did try to do this fight normally, but it became apparent to me that it just would not work, mainly just because of Call of the Damned. The sheer amount of damage it deals meant that there was no way for me to even live through a single turn of it. So it was back to the drawing board, and I quickly did get an idea from something I had seen a bit earlier in the fight. But to make it work, I would need 2 summons. Us, who is chilling in a cage, and Scratch, who I, being the idiot I am, had forgotten to speak with prior, and with the way back now closed, I had little choice but to jump back to a save a couple hours earlier. Time to once again free the Night Song and bonk Ketheric. So what's my plan? I started like last time by summoning Connor and luring all enemies over to the left side, but this time I walked in with Us, letting me re-summon Connor however many times I wanted to without breaking combat. Next, since Scratch is the only summon in the game with the help action, I could use him to free the Night Song without myself having to join combat. Now for the real fun part. Anytime anything dies next to Ketheric, it will summon an egg. This is not limited to once per turn, but will happen anytime a unit dies. Since we are not yet in combat, I can therefore simply summon in a Connor, run him in, then resummon him again to create as many eggs as I could possibly want. At the end of the turn, these eggs will then hatch, creating new necromites. And if these necromites then somehow died, it will again make new eggs. You see where I'm going with this? By having both necromites and eggs next to Ketheric and making sure there is enough of them to always kill the new necromites, we have essentially created an infinite loop which will continue to explode until Ketheric is dead.
Look at the chain reaction. It's working. It's fucking working. Oh, that's awesome. He's gonna die from it. 5 HP. Another perfect exploit.
Sadly, this interaction disappears when Myrkul shows up, as he has his own lesser legendary action. That was the fun part. Now time for the other part.
Jesus, I almost died. That was so close.
By summoning in Connors and running them in, I could now, just like before, have them run up to Myrkul and land a single attack before dying, meaning that I would win. It would just take a really long time.
Well, I have spent 3 minutes on this, and so far I've done 2 damage. This is gonna take an ungodly amount of time. I mean, I'll give it a go. Oh, 2 more damage.
To make things a little bit better, I took out some of the necromites so that Connor's pathing would be perfect. And now all that was left was just to resummon him over and over and over.
I'm halfway. That's always something. I don't even want to know how long it's been, because I have just as much left. This is way worse than when I had to kill Raphael using Connor. It's a real endurance test. Let's say it like that. Okay, just 42 more of those. Yes! Oh my god, never, ever, ever again am I doing that. Wait, why are we still fighting? No, guys. Guys, I'm not even free. I have to kill all these necromites. Get out of my sight. I never want to see a necromite again.
Heading out to Act 3, I made sure to equip the Amulet of Misty Step, so that when I got awoken by the Gith, I could simply Misty Step over to the portal and escape. Down by the Emperor, I made sure to drink a Hill Giant Strength Potion and Haste Potion before approaching. Using the fact that the Gith would mostly target my summons, I was thereby easily able to throw them off, using improvised melee weapon to bring them closer to the edge if needed. Here we get access to the improved Tadpole powers, which includes Black Hole alongside Mind Blast, my first real AoE abilities.
Oh right, I didn't think this one through. Oh, you don't even get a game over by getting brought to prison. Huh. I didn't know that.
By answering the skull's riddles, it freed me from jail, and so I was able to flee away and over to Worm's Rock. Over in the lower city, it was time to head straight into the Devil's Fee and take on Helsik.
Wait, what is this? Huh? Since when does she get help? That's a lot of dudes.
Despite her help, due to the fact that she basically alone was following me, I was easily able to bring her down in just 2 turns. I collected Helsik's pouch and headed up to the top floor using the parts in it to open the way into the House of Hope. Inside here, I just wanted one thing, but I would have to get it without provoking Raphael. The item I wanted is the Amulet of Greater Health. If you try and just take it normally, the plate below it will trigger and Raphael will get aggravated. However, by putting a similarly heavy item as the amulet on it before snatching it away, the alarm won't trigger and we are free to simply walk out again. This amulet fixes what is really our biggest problem, our health pool, as it brings our health all the way up to 48, even though it looks very bugged when leveling up for some reason.
Ah, yes. Of course. If I level up, I will go from 0 max health to -1 max health.
Now there was just one final item I wanted over and inside the Sorcerer's Sundries. You don't even need to do the fight here or anything to access it. All that is needed is simply flying past him and down to the bottom, and after succeeding a 20 Arcana check, thanks to the Guidance Amulet and a few Inspiration rerolls, I had my hands on Marco Heshkir. Sadly, I could of course not dual wield it with my current staff, but this one is still very much worth using. It comes with a skill which lets you choose any element, and upon doing so grants you 2 incredibly powerful spells for free every single short rest. Before heading out, I also checked out Lorokan's projection, as he has some really good scrolls. The specific ones I wanted though is not sold till I am a bit higher level, so we will have to return here later. To get the extra levels I needed, I headed down into Worm's Way. 3 of the 4 trials were easy enough, thanks to this scroll of remove curse I had found, but the torch one was, as always, pretty damn annoying. Since it replaces our weapon with a torch, my only way of doing any damage was now taken away from me, so I somehow had to live through 4 turns of elementals harassing me with basically no defenses. I tried darkness, it didn't work. I tried using blink, but apparently that is counted as cheating.
I did not flee. How am I gonna do this? I have no idea. Maybe black hole.
Black hole was indeed the solution I was looking for, but alone it would still not do the trick, as even though it slowed them, the air elemental still had a projectile attack, easily able to end me in just 2 casts. No, I had to combine it with a pretty niche spell, Wall of Stone. This spell puts up a wall blocking any incoming projectiles and thus forcing the elementals to teleport around it.
Nice warp, idiot. You don't have an action.
This worked a treat, as even the stronger versions were completely stumped, and during the final turn, I was able to stun almost all of them with a Mind Blast.
Oh my god, I worked on a lot of them. Don't die. Nice. Finally.
We now only have one more problem to solve, and that is the fact that I couldn't really just run around chucking water bottles at people endlessly. My supply was already starting to run out. So to solve this, I headed over to the Water Queen's house. Here we can talk to Alandra Grey, who gives us a quest to take care of a certain Beastmaster. He can be found in this storage building down behind some wargs. The fight with him is really simple, he stood no chance, and upon returning we are rewarded with the final piece of equipment we will be getting this run, the Wave Mother's Robe. It is the only piece of equipment, apart from an Act 1 staff, which has the Create Water skill on it. Anyway, I decide to help Gortash take on Orin and go over to face Dollar. This time though, I don't really feel like chasing him across the city, so after wetting him, I simply start by blasting him with a Mind Blast. With him stunned, he of course can't run and so gets completely annihilated. Next up is Saravok. His Honor Mode legendary action is quite annoying, teleporting him over to whoever hits him first in a round. The Echoes are not much better either, all of them having annoying crowd control spells. Thankfully though, I have a much better ability than this, the ability to simply run away. So after wasting all of my burst, blasting down 2 of them, I then simply escape, take a short rest, and then just walk back in. Using Black Hole, I could temporarily prevent Saravok from being hasted, but if I tried doing this immediately, he would just teleport over to me and completely ruin me. So to counter this, I just had to make sure that I attacked him using his summon first each round.
Please be enough.
Down in the sewers, I spoke to this very mentally stable man for the final level up we need this run.
Oh, minus 3 health now. Nice.
And with that, it was time to face down with Orin. Since I do not have any access to silence, I would have to get a bit more creative. Starting outside of combat, I made sure to wet as many of them as I could and cast a single ray of frost on the west surface, freezing it. This caused 2 of them to immediately trip and thus stop channeling the ritual, while also keeping me safe from the Ball Servant's stun. I used my turn to black hole most of the enemies together, and Orin wastes her trying to kill my summons. This lets me completely clear out most of the others with my lightning spells. Now without the ritual, all I had to do was continuously enter combat, cast a single magic missile, and then leave, repeating until all of Orin's unstoppable charges were gone, letting me simply push her off a cliff. All that is left now is meeting back up with Gortash and heading over to the Morphic Pool. But before doing so, as I said before, I head back over to Loroakan to pick up a bunch of Globe of Invulnerability and Chain Lightning Scrolls. After taking the boat, Gortash gets blasted by the Netherbrain, and I make sure to transform into an Elithid, mostly just for the 35 extra HP it gives us. All that's left now is the final battle with the Brain and the Emperor, as I decided to give him a slight friendly push before leaving, which for some reason is enough for him to completely abandon us and help the Brain instead. Anyway, since you always start this fight and I had made sure to dash before entering, I could easily make it all the way over to the crown, and as you've seen a million times before, put down the invulnerability scroll, letting me open the portal before finishing the Brain using just 3 chain lightnings. And so with that, another challenge run has been completed, and this one was honestly easier than I thought it would be, especially compared to the last one I did. Really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.